Buddy, it's July 15th, 2016, and Wayne and I are sitting here, and we wanted to talk specifically today about what I think is one of the most startling events that have happened in the last couple of weeks, quite frankly, aside from everything else. And that event is that SecureTeam came out and trashed the Planet X community today. Wayne, what were your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I have more respect for Tyler on this. I mean, Steve, I've
had nothing but respect for Tyler, just so you know.
Yeah, I mean, I love his work. And Tyler, listen, you made the first salvo, so we have the intellectual obligation to respond to what you said. And here's my problem, Steve. I have learned something in life that when you group a person or group, and you put a derogatory term upon them, idiots. Now, you read the definition of what an idiot is. Just because they may not believe what you believe, may not hold the same opinions that you have, Steve, this is where we get into problems in religion. This is where we start getting into problems when we start calling people names just because they hold a belief or an opinion.
I just didn't think that Tyler was that guy. I just didn't, you know, and it shocks me. I'm kind of in a state of shock right now, okay, because I always saw Tyler as kind of one of the leading edge, you know, kind of, let's call it the fringe subject guy, right? He's always talking about planets having bases, moon bases. We have moon bases, which, by the way, I think are credible photography. He talks about the oddest objects in the universe that some people see, some people don't see, which is the UFO phenomenon in general. And he will come out and say some very declarative things about the imagery that he has on UFOs. Yet, Wayne, I don't think he's ever looked at our channel. I don't think he's ever seen our channel, honestly.
I don't know either. You know, but listen, I can remember, I'm old enough to remember a time when you were considered an idiot if you believed in UFOs.
Oh, yeah. There you go. That's a good point.
So, I mean, you know, I guess my whole life has been subjugated to being an idiot. But at least I'm a well-versed one.
Yeah, yeah, I can sound pretty smart for, you know. All right, so let's get into this. Let's get into this rebuttal, okay? I'm going to pull up the first screen, and let's just talk about it. So I took statements that Tyler made, and then I'm going to respond to each one of them, okay, as a debater on the subject. The first one is he comes right out and says it's about a rogue planet. Wayne, are we talking about a rogue planet?
We are not. We are not. In fact, we have leaned towards the theory that this is a binary star system. And there have been plenty of papers published, Steve, that have not been retracted, that discuss this very theory. And Tyler, understand, it's a theory, my friend, not an absolute. All right, Steve.
Oh, no, absolutely. Next point, publications retracted the 1980 and 1990 statements about Nibiru. I have a little thing here to talk this through. That is patently false, by the way. None of the publications ever retracted their statements about Nibiru. In fact, in the early 90s, and I'll go through and talk about each of these articles in a second, in the early 90s, they actually admitted that they were using the Pioneer probes to go out and look at this because of the perturbations of Neptune, Pluto, and the outer planets. And this has been a well-known fact, and Tyler said right out that there's been no effect on our planets or solar system. That's the most ridiculous statement. We have been watching the whole academic community try to react to why things are changing in the solar system, Wayne. That's just not true.
And Steve, on top of this, we get articles, it seems like almost weekly, of another brown dwarf star found. Or just today, Ben Davidson was talking about that they actually found another exoplanet, but they actually were able to track it. Listen, we're still finding out things about our solar system and the whole Kuiper belt. But yes, Steve, you're absolutely correct.
All right. So the next thing, let's go back to, again, this is our attempt just to go point by point, right? The next one is Zechariah Sitchin. Now, I listened to Zechariah Sitchin because he translated the Sumerian text, and there's a lot of great information in there. But Zechariah, I'm not a big believer in what Zechariah Sitchin said about the Anunnaki and all that stuff. But what Zach Sitchin, I know for a fact, did not say that it would return in 2012. He said Zechariah Sitchin said it returned in 2012. Nobody. That was just not, that's not true. Sitchin such statements. He said that he thought it was going to be in 2065.
And, you know, I'd like to say something about Sitchin. You know, the controversy, and you know, folks, again, it was his opinion, his theory. But I just didn't take it there, Steve. I wanted to go deeper, and so I've actually gone in, taken the books that they're actually teaching at the universities. I have 2 of them that I use, learning about the history of circa, you know, 3000 to 323 BC, learning more about these cultures and where Sitchin got his work from. So, again, that's a false statement.
It is. He never made a date. He said if he thought it would be in 2065 or thereabouts.
Yep.
These are bigoted statements, by the way, and I want to make sure that everybody in my audience knows that these are bigoted statements, and we make no such statements, and I've never heard Tyler make a statement like this before today, okay? So something makes me really think something's going on here, but here's the statement. Tyler said only young, ignorant people are being sucked into this arena, and the people that have been around for a long time are, you know, already know it's bullshit. Well, most of our subscribers are out of 40 years of age, and quite frankly, most of them have been through this, the 2012 and the 2003. So most of my subscribers, better than 3/4 of them, are over 40 years of age. So that's just a stupid statement to make.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why any person would make such a statement. You know, regardless if this is your own personal belief, that's fine. And
but don't call me full of bullshit. You know what I mean?
I mean, come on, Tyler, I'm sure that you've been educated better to use better terminology in your vocabulary to describe something. And I can tell you this, it's not being sucked into anything. In fact, the great thing that we have today, because the tools and the technologies that, Steve, we use, we show people, we tell them where to go, how they can use it, we actually are constantly trying to even debunk ourselves. And all we have pointed out to you, to all of the subscribers, is that, hey, there are some anomalies happening out here, and the standard thought and logic isn't working. So let's explore. And isn't that what we're about? Isn't that what Tyler's about? Exploring the fact that if there were monoliths on Mars, if monoliths on the moon, structures on the Mars, faces, you know,
it's very well into this whole theory of other races and potentially other, you know, being species, if you will, interacting from this binary star and possibly being part of those structures.
Exactly.
So to me, there's more to agree with Tyler about than there is to disagree. He's the one who came out and just basically, you know, again, I'm a little frustrated as everything else. The next thing he said was he started bringing up the next date. Now it's going to be April. Well, April's in the past, Tyler. Nobody was talking about April, and he knew it. And then he stopped and he said, well, they're just going to keep coming up with dates. No, we're not. The real researchers, the people that I think that are really doing the job right now, would never touch a date with a 10-foot pole.
No.
We don't have enough information to set a date. We have a lot of data. We have a lot of proof. It's like knowing that there's somebody on the other side of the wall, but I haven't knocked the wall down yet.
You know, it's just, we have said this so many times publicly, and let's say it one more time. Folks, don't put a date on anything. We don't. The best we can do is say, well, maybe a year, could be 100 years. Who knows? But I think, again, it's intellectually dishonest to go and make a statement of that nature.
So for the record, this Wormwood Nibiru Planet X channel that believes that absolutely it's coming at us, and I'm sorry that you're scared about it. I'm not going to placate your fear by saying it's not coming. I'm going to placate your fear by saying go to the person that takes fear out. That's Yeshua. That's the solution, not to pretend that it's not there. Next one, alluded to total fantasy, and he based it all on Sitchin. Well,
Yeah.
the book of Revelations talks about it. The Sumerian texts talk about it. The Egyptian texts, including the Coburn Bible, have a detailed account of this system passing by during one of the Egyptian kingdoms. Hopi prophecies, river snake prophecies, Mayan prophecy. I mean, to say that this is only based on Sitchin's work would be a complete falsehood.
And it's not. It's not based on Sitchin's work at all. Sitchin is one of many. Gil Broussard. We can go down the list. Each of these individuals.
Tyler's saying that Gil Broussard, Marshall Masters, Steve Olson, Gerald Clark, all of the researchers that are out here right now, Jeff P., all of us, we're just all completely full of bullshit.
Yeah, and I challenge Tyler, well, we'll get to that later, but I can tell you, read the Destroyer section. I mean, listen, this is history. I think the Egyptians were some pretty smart people, certainly did some things that we can't do, and their description, what their scribes.
Yeah. But the next one, this is what we're talking about right now. He just came out and said it's bullshit. Literally, point blank, I'm quoting Tyler.
Yeah. Okay, I
agree. What kind of a statement is that? Did you ever see what Tyler covers?
Exactly.
I mean, I love Tyler's work. I really do. I love watching his videos. They oftentimes will validate things that we're seeing in our subscriber base. We actually one time wanted to send some stuff just a couple days ago to Tyler to take a look at the stuff that we caught by the sun. And here's what Tyler comes out. He says that we're all full of bullshit. And he's covering spaceships, galactic spaceships, moon bases, and monoliths on Mars. I don't know why he would be against us right now. I really don't.
I have no idea either.
He said, literally, run the other way. Have you ever heard him say that before? On anything?
No.
I mean, running the other way is the epitome of intellectual tyranny. Telling somebody not to look at all is the worst thing you can do.
Well, it has broad-based ramifications and definition, as you know, and that very foolish statement to make.
The next statement, all photos are of lens flares. He shows 2 lens flares that I would have thrown out in 5 seconds, Wayne. I look at 100 lens flares a day at least. So I know the difference between a lens flare and a real object, including, he mentioned the thumb trick. And if you put your thumb up in most of these photographs that the flare will show up on your thumb, you're supposed to put your thumb over the sun to block the light, and then the lens flares will disappear. So first of all, he told it the wrong way. And then number 2, we have hundreds of photos with people that have put their thumb in place, and we still see the objects up by the sun.
And I would like to say this about our subscribers. They'll call bullshit out if we put up something.
Everybody in the world. Yeah, go ahead.
So, it's like, we go before our peers every day, and they sit on the judgment seat. So, no, that's a dishonest statement.
The next one really blew my mind when he said that no astronomical indication of a rogue system. Okay, first of all, they started noticing the perturbations of Neptune and the outer planets back in the 50s. Even earlier, if you go look at Carlos Ferrata. And so to say that is just not knowing science right now, not knowing what's going on in astronomical science, because we all know that. How we explain it is where we get into a problem, right?
Exactly. Yes.
It's not that it's happening or not. Planets are heating up, guys. Just go look at the science. We have a new aurora on Jupiter. That's a recent story. We have never seen an aurora borealis on Jupiter before. What do you think that's from, guys? And that's huge. It's several times the size of the Earth. The next one is most of the planet's atmospheres are expanding. We just saw stories on Mars atmospheres expanding. And guess what? We discovered an atmosphere on Pluto.
Yeah.
And then this last one, there has been no increase in earthquakes. What planet did he come from? Is he on a different planet? Because that's patently false. We have a almost exponential increase in Mag 5 plus earthquakes since 1950, and that is data everywhere. Number 2, we have an exponential increase in meteors. Just go look at the Near Earth Object Program. 83% of the objects that we've seen coming into our solar system, asteroid or rocks or whatever, 83% of the ones we're tracking right now, we discovered in 2016.
Yeah.
So tell me
and
there's an increase in that. I will tell you that that is just not true. And here's I'll try to get this up here just to show, so I can show you some data here. The data that I want to show here, these are the asteroid events per year.
And where was this data from?
This is a compilation from Yowza, but he took this from NASA data.
Okay. All right. So if anyone needs to validate it, we can certainly give you the raw data.
And validate it. Then we just discovered a new dwarf planet beyond Neptune. And, and it seems like it's every single day we are finding a new Kuiper Belt object.
Well, Steve, I can remember when I was in school, there was no Cirrus out there. That object, that asteroid, whatever you want to call it, was never in any of the astronomy classes I took.
And I'm sorry to monopolize, Wayne. I'm just, again, you can tell.
I
don't like this when people lie, is what I don't like. Here's the next one. No recent credible academic statements on this subject. Did he miss the Mike Brown story? Totally.
Well, I've got two recent detailed books by professors. These are astrophysicists. The first one is Seeing Red, Redshifts, Cosmology, and Academic Science. I suggest, Tyler, you read this. It is a great read in understanding what the redshift of the spectrum is now revealing, particularly where cosmology is concerned. There's another great one called the Flare Star, another great book on understanding dwarf suns and the planets that are associated with them.
Clearly, Tyler has not been paying attention to the academic flow on this subject such as we have, okay?
Yeah.
Because Caltech, Mike Brown, Pluto killer, he came out and said that he found Nibiru. Okay? Come on, man. What about the magnetosphere? Now, these are things he did not mention, but I want to bring out a few scientific points that we've pulled in the last couple of days, Wayne. And we know the magnetosphere. We have proof of 2 instances where we lost our shields. And not only did we lose our shields, we lost our shields because of an opposing solar wind.
That's a fact.
That's a fact, Jack.
You know, and if anyone wants to dispute it, bring it on.
What about the jet stream? We talk about the breaches in the jet stream at the 250 millibar altitude, where we're supposed to have a big barrier between the north and south hemispheres of the Earth, where we usually don't have interaction between the two jet stream structures at the top and the bottom of the Earth. Now we have a complete breach of our north and south hemispheres, and we have a huge area at the 250 millibar altitude where we usually look at jet streams is reversing. It's actually reversing on the equator.
And we do have a rebuke to the Washington Post story that tried to debunk the scientist that was seeing this. So we're prepared to respond to those rebuttals as well.
What about the chart off the charts UV? Now, this isn't consistent. Some days we find that the UV is 4 or 5 times what it should be, which with your detector, by the way.
Yeah.
And then only 2 days later, it goes below normal UV, which indicates that something's popping out from behind the sun and going back behind the sun again.
Well, I can tell you today, I know for a fact we were hitting almost 6.4 at 10 o'clock, and it was like being out in a microwave. So today is one of those days.
One of the high days, Wayne?
Yes, it is.
Yep. What about the tilt of the Earth, Wayne? We documented a 17-degree variance in Earth tilt. There's no questioning it now. We have the data. It's locked down.
And Tyler, we'll give you the data. I mean, you know, if you want it, you want to take a look at it, love to have your opinion. One thing that we always do here is that we ask people if you know something, you have data. Just like, for instance, Steve yesterday on the bandwidth that we were watching for the meteors. the guy nailed it. So
yeah, and what Wayne's talking about there, in case you guys didn't know, was we've been tracking this meteor detector for the last couple of days. We got some strange returns on it again today, and we had an radio expert wrote in and told us how to interpret it more correctly. And we have ruled out sporadic E. We have ruled out gas. It is a solid object of some sort in our atmosphere or close to the Earth.
Exactly.
Are you scared? I'm sorry you're scared, okay? Really, I am. I'm scared too, okay? But just because we're scared doesn't mean we don't look at the truth, okay? That's the point of today's thing. What about the increase in fireballs and asteroids? And again, I mentioned the 83% of all NRO discoveries of 26 are from 2016.
And it's just getting there. There's more every day.
And then we just talked about the meteor detector. And then what about the sun rising in the north and setting in the north? It's still too far north.
Listen, I posted a picture yesterday that I took at 4:50 a.m. looking directly north. The sun did not rise in my neck of the woods out here until 5:44. And that was rising northeast 61 degrees. So you can say what it is. You can say that it's an effect, maybe the light bending. Listen, all I know is that it was becoming bright daylight in the north.
Guys, again, I want to just try to pick out a couple of pictures that are not lens flares for you to look at, okay? And these are just the ones that I've been collecting for the last couple of days, so just give me 1 second here. I mean, I have so many. I mean, it's like, this is the one that kills me. This is from the ISS where we're actually seeing the orb in space.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not a photograph from an individual with the lens flare, guys. Okay? These pictures of the ISS where it's completely red right now and everything's orange or this purplish red color, we didn't produce those photographs. Those aren't lens flares.
And we're still asking, why is it? Because here we happen to have documentary evidence going back a year and a half. So I've got pictures from the very same cam from ISS a year ago, Steve. And remember, we were trying to figure out what was going on because we saw this plasma reaction and we could never figure it out. Now,
how's Tyler going to explain this?
Yeah. Well, you know, is that an anomaly of the software? I don't know. How do you explain that?
Well, like I said, it just keeps getting more and more interesting, you know. And so today we just wanted to take a minute for all of our listeners who may have seen the Tyler video, and were troubled by his statement that you need to run in the other direction. No, you don't need to run in the other direction. You need to keep an open mind. You may not believe what we're saying, but we're not basing this on bullshit, as Tyler has said. We're trying our best to corroborate. I have been corroborating various data points since January. I'm so convinced I can't be more convinced. And I'm happy right now. I'm going to take down the mantle. Tyler, meet me on my show or your show, and let's have a discussion about Nibiru.
Well, Steve, what if we just really made it more interesting? What if we gave the opportunity for various opinions to come together in one forum? And what if we were to agree that all the ad revenue generated from that debate would go to a foundation that, let's say, pays for scholarships for students getting into mathematics or engineering?
There you go, or physics.
Yeah.
And I agree completely to that. So Tyler, this is a call out to you and SecureTeam. We want to sit down and discuss this with you in a reasonable intellectual way, and we want you to see our data. And the reason for this is, Tyler, it doesn't matter if people are scared or not. If it's true, we have a moral obligation to tell people about it. And if you don't know for sure it's true and you're just making statements based on what other people have told you, then you're not doing your research. And so we're going to help you do research, and we'll be happy to point you to all our data points.
You know, and I just like to say this.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just like to interject here. We may find more commonality in both these camps than what appears.
I think you're right. Well, with that said, guys, I'm going to move on and we'll do another just update video later today, but we wanted to get this out as soon as possible this morning to let you know that SecureTeam, quite frankly, is wrong about the video that they did today. It was an incorrect video. It was inaccurate in several different ways, and quite frankly, it was just a personal opinion of Tyler. Do not run away from this subject. You need to get ready for it. God bless.
God bless.
Wow. You think we should do it over?